Hi guys, so we're going to carry on. I'm just going to jump straight into it because this session could possibly be really long because it's binding, and to be fair, I'm going to try a machine sew all the binding, but to be fair, in the past I've never actually done all the binding by the machine on this bag, so yeah, it's going to be a new bit for me, that is, because there's a bit of a bulky area, and if my machine doesn't go over it, I will hand stitch it, and I will show you how to hand stitch if needs be. Right, so last 2-3 days ago, we did the last session where we made the front panel, the exterior, we made the side panels, and we made the zip pockets to go inside. So we're going to go and attach everything together so it's like one bit. So the lining and the exterior panels are attached together, and then I will basically see how far I can go. If I'm running over 3 o'clock, because we got a Zoom meeting, I might have to stop and do another Facebook Live, so I'm not promising it will be completed today. Right, so, and if you're new to the group and you've only just started watching, we're doing the Sew Together bag by Sew Demented, and basically it's just a basic bag which has got 2 zip compartments. 3 zip compartments inside, 1 large zip compartment with those zip pockets inside. Hi, Becky. Yeah, Polly, we went for a little mild walk yesterday and there was hardly any people out. So yeah, I think people are hopefully staying in or just doing the odd walk here and there. Right, okay, so we're going to move on to the side panels, and you'll need your paper pattern piece. It's the only paper pattern piece that comes with the actual pattern, and you'll see a perforated line, and this is the line for the pocket attachment, for one of the pocket attachments. You might want to crease that, pre-crease it, because we're going to use it with the iron. So let me just turn on my iron. Right, so you love my top. It's from Princess. It's from Simply Be. I used to wear it on Sew and Quarter, but it's come out again today. So we're gonna I've done this one already, but I've pre-creased it where the pocket alignments should go, and I'll show you how to do that now. So if I just move the camera around. Right. So, first of all, you get your side panel piece and you fold it in half to start off with. And we're going to just press this in half so we find the centre of this panel. So I'm just going to put a bit of steam on that so it makes a really dominant crease in there. I can't believe it's Monday. I'll tell you something, it's going so fast. Lockdown is making things go so fast. Right, so we're going to open that up, as you can see. And then where it says place on centre fold, you're lining this bottom piece and the centre fold to the centre crease. So basically it will be your bottom of the pattern piece will line up to the bottom of your side panel, and then your place on fold will line up on your centre crease. Then what we're going to do is, where we folded it, we are going to fold this triangle part in towards the centre. Then we're going to fold this piece of fabric over that fold and give it a good press. Hi Laurie. Once you've given it a bit of a press, remove the paper and chuck some steam on it. Right, so that's the first crease mark done and the second crease. So we're going to repeat that same process, but this time we're going to have to flip the piece of paper over, match it up to the centre and match it up to the base line, the bottom part. Fold that triangle part over towards the centre. Get this part and fold it over and just give it a light press to start off with. And then we're going to put some steam on it. That's the only time you will need that other than cutting out. So you've got your two pieces pre-folded. And we're going to move on to the lining piece where we've got the zip pockets. Hi Margaret. Margaret, I just packed up your order of your foam, so it should be coming to you on Wednesday. Right, okay, so I'm going to bring the camera down now. Right, let's let the video catch up to make sure that's all in focus. Nope. Hi Leslie. Chuck some steam on it. Love your real approach, sweet. Yeah, chuck some steam on it. Common as muck, me. Common as muck. Hi Teresa. Right, okay, so do you remember last week we the last session we made the inner pockets. Obviously your center pocket is going to be your what we call the center of your lining. Right, so, and the reason being is we've got a center crease that we've just done on those side panels. So we're going to work on the one side first. You've got the sewn line on the bottom of the sewn lines that we did to seal up the actual pockets. So we actually made the pockets. This is going to be a line that you need to line up with the base part of your actual side part. So you'll need clips for this. So we're going to get this part of the lining of the first zip pocket, which is the center one, and we're going to pop that in that crease. Now you'll notice that where that sewn line is where the bottom of your panel should be. You're going to clip first there to hold it into place, and you've got to make sure the zip pocket's right up into that crease. So you'll notice there is about 1/2 inch overhang. That's fine, that's what it's meant to do. 1/2 inch to or to 1/4 inch. Just that's it. To 1/4 inch is how much you are meant to have overhanging. So we've done the first one. What we're going to do now is sew right from the top. So we close that top bit up. We're going to sew 1/4 inch in all the way down, and make sure you reverse your stitches at the start and at the end. So on my machine I've got a size 16 needle because I'm going over a bit of a bulky area here, and I haven't changed my thread. Yes, thread. I haven't changed my thread. I've got Aurifil thread on, even though I always say don't use for this bag, it's fine. When I say don't use our full thread, I mean as in don't use our full thread when you're using it for straps and stuff like that on your bags. Because our full thread is pure cotton, and cotton can snap quite easily. I'm using a stitch length 2.4. And right, she says you should sew all the way down. I personally found when I was testing this pattern for her to stop 1/4 inch away from this edge here on the actual base of the side panel. So I'm just approximately stopping 1/4 inch away and just reversing my stitch a bit. That will come easier for what we have to do to attach this part to the main outer. Right, I'm just gonna cut those pieces off. Right, so we're going to move on to the next pocket. Bring that lining up and match it up to that other crease. And you should have approximately 1/4 to 1/2 inch at the top excess of the side panel. And once again we're matching it up to the sewn line where the base of the side panel is. We're matching it up to the sewn line. Right, so I'm just going to clip and pin that into place. Clip it into place, shall I say. Right, so to sew this, you need to push this bit out of the way. So we're just going to push it out of the way. Push it as far as we can further underneath. And sew this into place using 1/4 inch seam allowance. And once again, I'm going to stop 1/4 inch away from the base of the side panel. Yeah, Princess, you can. I've got one that I take with my art stuff in, and like in the one pocket, because I've got like a thin what's it called? I'm really lost for words today because I've had a stinking headache overnight. Watercolour pads, pens, pencils in the one pocket. I can fit loads in. Them, and it's a lifesaver. And I've got like sewing in the one, EPP in another. I've got so many EPP projects on at the moment. It's unbelievable. So, right. So I'm moving on to the next crease and popping that panel in, that pocket into that crease. And once again, I'm just gonna go from that side and push these out of the way and stop 1/4 inch from the base. Now in the pattern, she doesn't tell you to stop 1/4 inch from the base of the side panel, but I've just found it so much easier to attach the side panel at the later point when we have to attach it to the exterior. Right, so let's just cut those off. Is anybody having barbecues today, as it's nice and warm? We don't have a garden, so, but that is one thing. I'll tell you something, we're saving up for a deposit for a house, and I said that's one thing we are getting when we do manage to buy that house. Right, so I'm going to get the other side panel piece, and we're going to just repeat that complete same process, starting off with the center, pushing that pocket right up into that crease, and sewing that one first. I'll tell you something, we were chatting at lunch, saying that today doesn't feel like Monday, it feels like a Saturday to us. Is anybody else feeling like the days are rolling into each other? Right, I've stopped a 1/4 of an inch away from the base. And Elizabeth, it's got to be in this town where we live, because obviously my main studio is down my parents' house, and I'm not moving that unless I can find a house that's got a separate place where I can have the studio, and if I have to have one built. But we really want to stay in this town because it's a nice town. Michael's cricket team's here as well, so Michael plays cricket in the summer normally. And we're not that far from our ice hockey team and stuff, so yeah. It's Polly, it's weird having my husband here. I've had him here since 2 days before lockdown. Yeah, it's weird having him here all the time. It can be whatever day we like. It can be. It can be. But as long as I remember Wednesdays and Saturdays to post off all the parcels. Right, I'm doing the last side pocket panel piece. The last crease, shall I say. So who else has gone out and brought this pattern? It'd be nice to know. I know some of you actually got up to the point where I finished off. And wow. Yeah, if you're going to buy the pattern, buy it now. If you're going to buy it as a download, buy it now, because and then automatically download it onto your computer. Because I forgot to say, Blueprint, who where the panel is actually the pattern is actually downloadable from, is actually closing down at the end of next month. So any patterns that you've got on, like the old Craftsy or Blueprint, you will need to download those onto your computer and store them for safety. Right, so I've just attached the side panels, as you can see. Alright, let's get you back here. Alright, as you can see, you've got the side panel, so you can see what's happening now. It's making the 2 inner compartments, and obviously you've got the zip pockets. You will before I forgot to why they're closing, because people are not using the lessons that, because it's classed as a lesson based company, Princess, and I've got a few people that are few friends that are teachers on there, and Lisa Lamb is one of them, and they're just basically, they can't afford to keep the thing open, because there is another website that's a bit similar to them called Skillshare, and Skillshare basically offer a subscription package, so you pay £9 a month and you can learn anything on Skillshare. Unlike Craftsy and Blueprint, you have to buy that lesson. So for instance, Lisa Lamb's lessons I think are £9.99. You get everything, you get the pattern, you get the videos, but they are basically finding that people are rather going over to like Skillshare, because Skillshare you're only paying that one-off fee per month at £9 or £9.99. I must admit, I'm a Skillshare fan, because I personally like learning other stuff as well. See, Craftsy and Blueprint are just for crafts people, unlike Skillshare is for everybody, even like computer engineering and stuff like that is on there, and science or physics, maths, it's all on there. So yeah, yeah, see, I've asked that question because I've actually subscribed to, I've got some of the tutorials from Craftsy. Do we get to keep the videos? I don't think we do. So if well, they haven't messaged me back because I have emailed them. So I personally would just download everything that you can, even the lesson plans and stuff off them, so you can have that. And basically try your hardest to memorize it, because unlike YouTube, you can pay for the download subscription per month, and you can download any of the videos onto your hard drive to keep. See, Craftsy, there is no download video bit. Skillshare is a massive thing, princess. I at night when my husband's playing on the Xbox, I'm watching Skillshare. I'm learning a new skill most nights. Right, so back to this. Right, we've done the side panels. We're going to get the exterior. We're going to get the exterior and find the centre. And pop a pin in each side. Now, see, if you sew two pieces together like I did the other day. Hi, Susie. If you have sewn two pieces together, your centre will be where the centre sewn line is. But for if you've not done the two pieces for the exterior, you will definitely need to find the centre. So there is my two centre pieces. Let's pop you back down here. Right, so your centre pocket is now your centre of your lining. Oh, this way. Right, so what I'm doing is your centre pocket is got to match up with your centre part of your exterior. So the way I do that is, I'm going to put it underneath first so you can see it. Pop a clip on the lining, so we're matching up the two long sides of your lining. Like so. And here. So we're going to do, so your centre pocket will match up to your centre pin, and you need to do that for both sides to start off with. Next thing we're going to do is make sure your lining is flat at the front and at the back, and that's these two pieces here. We're then going to just put a pin in, like so, and over here. Matching up, making sure your two sides match up as well. So now you will get an overhang on the two shorter ends of the lining, so don't worry about that. And we're just going to repeat it for this side as well. Now you should have an overhang between 1/8 to all the way to half an inch. So it doesn't matter how much you've got. It just depends on whether it's 1/8 or half an inch But what you need to do then is just flip it over and just trim back your excess. So I'm just going to trim back the excess. Like I say, it can be anything from 1/8 all the way to 1/2 inch. And I think that was 1/8. And this is close to, well, it varies between 1/4 inch to 1/2 inch. She's done this for a reason, because I paid along with the other members. Oh no, no, they should have refunded you. They really should have refunded you. Right, so now don't take those pins out yet. Keep those pins in. What we're going to do is, this is the bit that I hate doing because it's like wrecking the niceness of the pocket area, but it isn't. We've got to do this bit. So what we're going to do is we need to flatten the pockets. So I just basically put my hand in the center and flatten them off. We need to bring up this side panel to the side, matching it up. Like so. And we're going to clip it. This is why I like to leave a 1/4 inch at the bottom, because if you don't, this bit can be a bit of a fiddle. We're just going to clip there. So basically we're squashing, matching up the lining, and if you notice, mine matches up quite easily because we've left a 1/4 inch at the bottom. Now, Princess, I know you've made these made this pattern recently. Do you find this part a bit difficult? Because I know a lot of people do. And yeah, so fiddly, yeah. We were also told in the test, if you find that, because if you notice here on my, I'm hoping you can see this, my triangle is about 1/2 inch away from the top. That's good. It can be between 1 inch to 1/2 inch. You will find one side will be about 1 inch away and the other side will be 1/2 inch, but it doesn't matter if it's 1/2 inch on each side. You just need that that allowance for when we attach the zip. But if you find that this triangle, like mine, is actually quite long, mine must have stretched when we were making the when I was ironing the interfacing on. So this bit here, we were told in the actual test, we can just do a little tuck close to where one of the pockets is. So I always choose the one pocket that's closest, just to make sure that that triangle ends 1/2 inch away, at least 1/2 inch away. You won't see the tuck once we've got the binding on and stuff like that, so. Okay, and I'm just going to pop a clip in that bit there. So I'm just going to remove the pins that are closest to this side panel. And then what I'm going to do is, yeah, it's between 1/2 inch to 1 inch. Right, so I'm going to sew completely all the way down, 1/4 inch away, and baste this into place. This is where I advise you to have a walking foot within your machine, on your machine, shall I say, because there is going to be a bit of bulk. Also, make sure your pockets are flat. You'll see me just rearrange the pockets as I'm getting closer to the pockets as well. And you are sewing slightly over the, not just the creases of the actual side panel, you are actually sewing over the pockets as well. Now, if you do struggle, if you're finding it's got a bit of a steep hill to climb, get your bulky seam aid out, or just fold up a piece of paper and put it behind it. Right, so that's the one side done, and move over to the other side. Right, once again we're going to flatten that out. It must be like, yeah, it is, so is. Are all your zip pockets the same size? Yeah, they are. Princess, do you find that they're not the same size? Alright, so I'm just going to do exactly the same. Squash that lining over. You haven't got the you haven't. All right, so Princess has pointed out something. Right, so this is the sew together bag. Princess, what's yours called? The bionic bag, isn't it, or something like that? There is another pattern similar. There was a bit of a turf war going on between the two designers back when they first released it. One is a different size pocket in the actual bionic bag, isn't it, Princess? Yeah, yeah. Which way do you sew the pocket edge seam when sewing? See, it's however it falls. So I push it down from, I'll show you. So I like my zips to open left to right. So I always make sure when I turn it round, so it's opening right to left, and I push it that way. So basically they're all always going to be lying the same way on the one side. On this side I've done it so it's right to left. Then on this side I did it left to right. It just means when you actually come to close the bag up, these don't collapse, because sometimes they can collapse like that if you've not overfilled them. So yeah, that's how I do it. And then I did used to do it all the same way, but then I found that they were collapsing quite a lot when I didn't put stuff in it. My pattern says to make sure the side seams are all facing down. Yeah, you can do that, but this pattern so basic. Your pattern is actually quite in depth, because I have got that pattern as well, but yeah. Right, so I'm just going to sew this into place. Take those pins out. Yeah, if you're going to buy it, Princess, buy it now. And download it, because Craftsy's going. Is yours from Craftsy, the bag that you've got? Right, so the next thing you need to do is flip it over. And if you've got any lining overhanging, you need to trim that off. I've just got a little bit here. And a little bit in the centre here. Yeah, Laurie, when I was testing it, it took me a little bit of a while to actually figure out. As you can see, they stand perfectly up straight now. If I had sewn them in the same way, so both sides to the left, then these would be doing this, which I personally don't like, because it distorts the bag once it's closed. So yeah, right, so we're going to move on to the binding. Yeah, it is, isn't it? It's a beautiful, I've always loved this pattern of fabric. Yeah, Julie, it's very me. But this bag is going to be one of yours, so I'll be doing a giveaway later on in the week for it. So the binding, she does give you some specific sizes. I've just basically gone and cut 2 fat quarters. I've cut it a fat quarter width basically, because I couldn't be bothered to cut it down. So you're basically folding it wrong sides together and giving it a good press, and you're pressing it all the way down. And you need 2 pieces, one for left and one for right. And we're going to get this. We're going to crunch it out of the way, and we're going to stitch from the lining part, and we're going to put the binding, matching up the raw edge of the binding to the raw edge of the side, clip it into place. And we're going to just sew 1/4 inch all the way down. You got to make sure it's definitely 1/4 inch. How wide is the binding strip? Technically, I'm not really meant to say this, but as I close them down, I'll do it this once, Sally, because you're meant to go out and buy the pattern. The binding strip is, well, for this bit, it is 15 inches by 2 1/4 inches. Okay. I'm just sewing that 1/4 inch down. going slow over those bulky areas, so making sure my stitches are making the full stitch. Because if you go too fast and you've got a bulky area, you might find your stitches will jump. Brought it. Wow, that was quick. Right, so I'm gonna trim off the excess. Now I don't chuck these away because I'm a bit of a skinflint. This size I would, but this size I wouldn't. I actually save those pieces and pop them into a strappy binding for like quilting. Because my binding on my quilts are 2 1/4 rather than 2 1/2. Hi Jennifer, it's okay. This will be on YouTube and stay in the group as well. So at this point I just give this a bit of an iron, a bit of a press. So I'll do that just off screen. Right, then I roll it over and put quite a few clips in. So this bit I can sew, this bit doesn't really bother me. It's when it comes to the zip part, that's when I tend to find that I might not be able to sew it by the machine, this part of the step. I'm going to give it a go. Be the first time if I've done it, do it correctly. But as someone's having it, if it's wrong and if it doesn't look nice, I will be unpicking it and redoing it. Right, so I'm stitching less than 1/8 of an inch away from the fold, from the actual edge, making my stitch length for number 3 as well. And I'm going to go slow so it's perfect and neat. And I'm going from the top side of the exterior. Making sure your pockets are flat. So as you can see, my side panels are flat and towards that way, towards you guys in the camera. Yeah, Laurie, it is right. I use quite a low dense batting in my quilts anyway. But people that use a high dense batting, a high loft, yeah, the extra 1/4 of an inch does help. Right, I've sewn that bit on. I'm just going to do the other binding. So once again, same size strip like I did last time, matching up the raw edge to raw edge. Right, and I'm just gonna sew this 1/4 inch away. Cut the excess off, and obviously, like I say, you can keep it or chuck it, but I keep mine. So, just go to my iron once again. I'm just going to press it to get it flat. Right, so I'm going to roll it over and clip that into place. The smaller pieces, I do actually keep a batch of them to make leaders when I'm doing chain piecing for like the quilting and stuff. See, the husband's logged in, so he's had enough of the kids. 45 minutes, Michael, you lasted 45 minutes. Everything you make turns out perfect. You make everything look so easy. I love... Yeah, you haven't seen the bits where... you haven't seen the bits where I have to unpick. So I keep all that bit hidden. Right, so I'm just going to squash those pockets down. Flip it over and just top stitch again across. And I'm doing that around about 1/16 to 1/8 of away from that edge, using a stitch length number 3. How are we doing for time? I've got a bit of time yet. Okay, right, so they're done, and you will find that your pockets, you will need to give them a bit of a press because obviously you've been squashing them down. But the side bits are done. As you can see, it's all neat on the ones on the edges. Like I say, if you're not going to do that, there is the method of what you use with binding when you're binding the quilt. Once you folded it over, when you fold it over to this side, you pick up some fabric from your exterior, sew it through the folded bit, and then back into through the little channel of the fold, and then you're bringing it through. But next week, if the samples are here, actually no, next week I'm actually doing a cushion video, filming it for YouTube, and I'm going to teach you how to hand sew binding at the very end, so at least then you can understand basically what I mean by hand sewing it at the very end of the binding if you're new to binding. Right, so we're just going to pop this to one side for a minute. We're going to get the exterior zip and we're going to fold it in half and find the centre on both sides of the zip. So you can either pop a pin or mark it, but because my marking pen is black and the zip is black, I won't be able to see it, so I'm going to have to pop pins in. Right, so I found the centre of my zip. We're going to find the centre of both short ends. So the way I do that is measure. So this is now approximately 9 3/4. Thanks, Lo. How's the bee sale going on with the jewellery? Yeah, slip hemming. Margaret, thank you. I really cannot get my words out after this headache. The zip is a rainbow zip with a rainbow pull, and it's from Michelle Cox's group, Bags of Difference. So what's 9 3/4? Someone work out 9 3/4, please, in half. I'm such a lazy mare. 1 2 3 4 5. It's 4 3/4, isn't it? Oh, my calculator's on my phone. My phone's there. 1. It's 4 and so it's 1 2 3 4 5. 1 2 3 4. Yeah. So it's 4 and 1 2 3 4 5 6 7. 7th 8th. The centre on that one end. Princess, I'm such a diffy mare. It's unbelievable. I have some melon trips, I do. 4 7/8. Yeah, that's the one. Fold it in half. You can't, Lo. There's too much bulk. You won't actually physically get the half. All right. Right. So that dilemma out the way. No, it isn't just you. Right, so where that centre is, we're going to match up the zip. So the zip half to the zip, the half of the panel to the half of the zip, and we're just going to clip that into place. And the same with that side. So basically your zip will be pointing upwards on the line inside of your actual bag. So that will be like so, and you've matched the centre to the centre of your panel. And then we're just gonna clip either side. Then we're going to get another piece of long binding, and we are going to find the centre of that as well. Just give it a bit of a finger press, and we're going to pop that into the centre as well. What am I going to be like when, fingers crossed, I'm on John's Sewing World on Crafters Companion, Crafters TV, in in June, but I'm doing it from home. So basically I'm doing it live from home. What am I going to be like when I'm on with John? Oh my god, everything's going to go wrong. I know it is. Better not do. I'm actually quite nervous going on with John. It's been ages since we've been on together. I can't wait for that, you and John together. But separate, I know it's going to be weird. It will be fine, so it's... Right, so the binding is... Do it naked. No. I might still have my pyjama bottoms on underneath, like the lower part, but not the top part. Right, so your binding, we need to clip it to the actual zip here. And the same on the other side as well. You know what, I'm just going to really get this finished on this live session. So I'm just taking off my walking foot and just putting on my zipper foot. You don't see me do this very often on a live, but you need it accurate, unfortunately. Right, so my needle's centred in the centre. We're going to move it over to the left. And then I'm going to sew where the zip starts. You'll still be able to make him blush. I think I will. I think I will, Lisa. I'm going to basically just sew the binding onto the zip. I'm not quite sure about that, Polly. Where is the wash? You mean my quilter's tape? Yeah. I just find that it's really hard to do with this, doing this part. I used quilter's tape on the wash away tape on the actual zip pockets on Friday. Right, so I'm coming to where the zip pull is. I'm just going to lift up my zipper foot and move that pull out the way. Right, so we're going to... Right, so you will find... If you used a number 5 zip, you will find that the stitch allowance here will be too big. So you will need to trim back the exterior back to approximately 1/4 inch away from that sewn line. But we are not cutting the zip tape. So you're moving the zip tape out the way. Never cut your zip because it's how it's woven. It can come apart, and then obviously there's no point of having a zip because you only get to use that bag once because it will basically fall apart. So So the next thing you're going to do is roll that binding over. Now we're going to top stitch that into place. So this is the bit where I'm a bit worried because I've never actually done the stitching on this side before, so you talking about, wait, are you talking about weight rows? Has anybody seen on the Marks and Spencer's advert Percy Pig ice cream? I'll tell you something, I'm dying to try it, but we can't get a Marks and Spencer's. I know I'm lactose intolerant, but I'm really dying to try it. Because I like Percy Pig sweets. I really do like Percy Pig sweets. As you can tell, I'm a large lady. I like my sweets. I kill a pig and make it into ice cream. It's not real, it's a sweet. Just roll that. Can you remember the ice cream with this? What? What foot? What a foot? No. What brand was that, Julie? The bit you're doing now, mine ends up thicker once. Yeah, Princess, I sometimes find that's why I like to hand sew. So this bit, I'm finding that one side's thicker than the other, wider than the other, so it'd be, oh yeah, you can still get them. The foot, yeah, Princess, I'm exactly the same, so I'm gonna see if it happens this way as well, because normally it happens when I'm hand stitching, so, right, so I'm just gonna bring my needle back into the center. Right, so the reason why I make my binding bigger at this point is I can start off at off the zip to make sure it's neat by the time I get onto the zip. So if I can just get that underneath. If you've got a purple fang or something like a tailor's awl, you might need it at this point, just to pull the binding over as you're stitching it and holding it into place so your fingers are not touching anywhere near that needle. No, right, so Elizabeth, where the chair leg is where the knee lift would be, and unfortunately I can't fit it on. The knee lift hook basically keeps tapping onto the actual leg of the table, because it's an L-shaped table I'm using here. So to be fair, on my industrial sewing machine I don't use my knee lift. I think I've just got so used to not having a knee lift in the past. My old machine that was here, I used to put the knee lift on. And this machine got bigger. And obviously I've taken it off and just haven't put it on. Right, so I'm just going to lift up my presser foot, move that zip pull out the way. Laurie, do you mean me with the units? I've just got to paint the 2 more units and then it should be finished. Then I'm going to do a little tour of them because Rod's asked me to, for Rod Creations. Basically, if you've got the Kallax units, yeah, Elizabeth, my industrial sewing machine's at my mum's and dad's. It's a beast, and unfortunately, once we got it upstairs, it's never leaving their house, basically, because it's that heavy. Most of my leather workshop is there at my parents' as well. But I'm selling that industrial when I can, because of I'm selling my industrial when I can get back into my parents' house, because that place is going to become my warehouse. That room is for my stock, because at the moment I've got stock in my daughter's room, I've got stock in my son's room, I've got stock in here. Yeah. Yeah, he has got some really good things. I've had the pencil rack done, so that's, I can fit 250 pencils in 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 10 drawers. I've got the cotton spool one. I've got the 5 drawer system and the 10 drawer system boxes. It cost £200, and I'm thinking of getting some more inserts as well. Right, so next thing you need to do is unzip this. My centre did come out, so I'm just going to find the centre again of this. Zip. Yeah, it's on Facebook, Lo, so it's called Rod Creations. I'll put it up on the page afterwards. He's really, really, really good, and he makes them to order, so basically they're not made up. You will need to wait at least 2 to 3 weeks, but I'll tell you something, I've managed to make my Kallax unit. I've got a 16 square Kallax unit, and I'll tell you something, I can fit more on it now than what I had before in those boxes. and it's more organised. Right, so I've unzipped the zip. I'm going to bring it up here. Right, I've unzipped the zip, and I'm just going to match up that centre zip to the centre and clip. And clip it both sides. And you're going to pull the zip over to that point, and do it for that side as well. That's fine, Jan. It'll be up. So basically, you're doing that at the moment. We're going to attach the binding on like I've just done here. Right, I'm going to attach the binding on like we did here for this side, but I'm not going to do that on air. Then, the next thing you need to do is trim off the excess bits here. I'm going to talk you through this bit now. So you're going to trim off the excess bits. Then we're going to make the tabs for your zip at the ends. So if I just bring the camera down. Right, so you're going to get the 6-inch piece. Buy low. Low, I'll put the website details in on the actual on the Facebook page for Rod's Place. Right, so you've got your 6-inch zip part, and then I don't like that she says to fold it in 1/4 of an inch, because I find 1/4 of an inch is way too much of a tab. So I fold it in just over 1/2 inch on both sides, both short ends. Then we fold it in half, and that's right sides to right side, and that's so those 2 1/2-inch folded over pieces are on the outside. Then we're going to sew down here 1/4 of an inch and sew down here 1/4 of an inch. So I'm just going to do that bit now. Just drop my stitch length down to standard stitch length. Oop. It's getting chewed up because it's so thin, this fabric bit is. There you go. And same again on the other side. Then the next thing you're going to do is trim off that excess. No. And no. We're going to turn this right way facing out. It's a bit fiddly, but it will go. You're going to have to poke out those corners as well. I actually don't normally make my tabs this way, but this would have been those scrub bags. I take it that the bags or the scrubs, the tabs would have been brilliant doing it this way. Now you can just push it in, sew across, and then hope I sew it's done. Right, so you're just going to give this a quick press. Pretend this case is sewn and the 2 binding pieces are sewn. Right, so you'll have, if I just trim this bit off here. Right, so you would have binding either side, right? You would get the zip and push, get the hole. Yeah, I knotted mine as well, but it would have been a lot more professional having tabs at the end. Through the hole, you poke the zip into there and you pushing it down approximately 3/4 of an inch down, making sure the zip is neat. Then you sew across the top here, and for reinforcement, sew again. She doesn't tell you to do that, but it's advisable. So pretend I've sewed those into place. Can't obviously do that at the moment because the binding's not on. Then you flip the bag over and you see where the centre is. You're just making that tab at that end, overlap underneath, and you're basically just going to hand stitch that into place, and you do that for both sides, and that's what makes this part here. So if I show you on this one, so if you can see, I've hand stitched it, just basically hand stitched it. It doesn't have to be neat because it's underneath, and that's what makes the handle part on the ends, and that's it. And then basically when you open it up, it basically stays open and you've got your compartment at the back and nothing will fall out basically. So yeah, so that's it for that. I will get this one finished, and then this one will be in the giveaway, which I will hold later on in the week. It's just basically just answer a question and yeah, and basically share the group or something like that. So yeah, so yeah. Right, so the next Facebook Live is June the 5th. June the 5th, because obviously it's when my husband's next got some time off to occupy the kids. So people have been asking me, what am I doing with the NHS panel, the Nightingale colourful bird that we all brought and donated to the NHS. So I'm going to make a wall hanging for my wall because I've got a bit of a blank space over here. So I'm going to show you how to do that, and I'm going to do some free motion quilting. So if you want to join in, you can. You don't have to watch it, but yeah, I'm going to show you how to do that. Yeah, so if you haven't already, the shop has got some brand new stock in and a pre-order on at the moment. The pre-order ends this coming Sunday, the 31st. Yeah, the 31st. And yeah, so pre-orders, I've just basically, the samples for the fabrics, the panels, should be here this week, so I can test the colours to make sure they're spot on. But then normally I don't really have to tell them to do anything other than adjust left or right, but that's my problem. So yeah, and remember the Park Lane pattern's out as well now. So, and Michelle Cox in the Bags of Difference is actually doing a hardware kit for me. Thank you, Michelle. So she has all the hardware for it. Anyway, yeah, I think they put the zip in. It will be unpicked a few times. Carol, when I do my cushion with one of the samples on the YouTube video, you can actually see how I hand stitch the one side. Because I must admit, that bit was daunting to me. I've never top stitched before binding on a zip. Normally top stitching on a binding's fine. But this, yeah, I'm not overly keen with my squiggliness. So whoever gets this, I apologise. Anyway, thanks ever so much for watching, and I'll see you all on June the 5th. Bye.